So hello everybody, welcome back to our sessions. I would like to remind you a bit of logistics. Have in mind that all sessions will be recorded, are being recorded for later viewing, and you can post your questions into the chat window on the right. And we will address them to the panelists. Make sure to participate in the STEM Summit Challenge and have a chance to win prizes. You can find the link at the reception page on your upper left corner, and the winners will be announced during the closing ceremony. Of course, join the continued conversation on our Collaboratech and Facebook communities, and make sure to download your participation certificate and badge at the resources section. I would like to give a big shout out to the IEEE Foundation for supporting Try Engineering and all those things that we're doing and grants, etc. But you can support us by donating to the Try Fund of the IEEE Foundation and help us create more resources, lesson plans, activities, and other products in order to support educators and STEM enthusiasts to conduct events and inspire even more school-age children into engineering. So, the next this session is about girls in STEM. It is a panel. It is conducted in collaboration with IEEE Women in Engineering. The panel will be moderated by Keely Crockett, professor in computational intelligence at Manchester Metropolitan University and chair of the IEEE Technical Committee Shield. And the panelists are Karen Panetta, professor and dean of graduate education at Tufts University School of Engineering. Naomi Adele, I hope I'm pronouncing your names correctly. She's a lecturer in Manchester Metropolitan University. Desira Naik, computer science students in Birmingham. And Elisa Torres Derney, high school student and founder of the Girls in Quantum. So please bring them on stage. Welcome, Keely.
Hello, everybody. Okay,
Welcome,
so
thank you for being in the panel. Let the fun begin.
Thank you so much. So I'd like to say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from wherever you are in the world, and thank you for joining us today. I'm going to start off first of all by asking our wonderful panelists to give a quick introduction. So over to Naomi Adele.
Okay, I will say good evening because it is 6 p.m. here in the UK. So hi everybody, my name is Naomi. I'm a lecturer in artificial intelligence and the ethics of AI at Manchester Metropolitan University here in the United Kingdom. I originally studied computer science for my undergraduate degree, and I moved on to do a master's in information systems, and then I completed my PhD, and then I went on to become a lecturer. I don't know how much detail you want me to go into at this stage, but that's essentially what or who I am.
That is amazing. Thank you. We're going to go in a bit more detail soon. So I'd like to now hand over to Karen.
Good day, good evening, hello, wherever you are in the world. I'm Karen Panetta, and I'm a dean at Tufts University, but I am a professor of electrical, computer engineering, and mechanical engineering and computer science because the world is becoming so interdisciplinary. But I just want to let you all know that I used to have a real job in industry, and I used to be a computer architect, but I love students, and I am so happy to be here with you. And I'm also the editor-in-chief of the IEEE Women in Engineering magazine. So I look forward to telling your stories.
Wow, amazing. Thank you. And I'm going to now ask Deshita, please.
Hello everyone, I'm Deshita Naik and I'm an undergraduate student currently pursuing a BSc Honours in Computer Science and I authored and co-authored several research papers in the areas of artificial intelligence, machine learning, federated learning and chatbots. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now on to Elisa.
Yeah, no, I'm so happy to be here, first of all. So I'm Elisa. I'm the founder and CEO of Girls in Quantum. So really excited to be here and share with you all the experience that we have in the team, democratizing quantum computing education. And yeah, I'm also a student in high school and researching different things such as neuroscience and biomedical imaging. So I'm really interested in many areas. So looking forward to sharing more with you tonight.
Thank you so much. So welcome to the audience. What we're going to do now is I'm going to ask each panelist if they could share their STEM story and their journey. So I'm going to ask everybody to have, a couple of minutes and just share their experiences with everybody. I'm going to go in the same order for this question. So I'd like to hand over to Naomi.
Okay, so my STEM journey kind of started when I did my undergraduate degree. So I completed my undergraduate degree in computer science. At the time, I chose to do computer science because I felt it was quite a broad, degree, and it covered all of the sub branches. As at that time, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. And after I graduated, I thought, well, I'm still a bit unsure. So I started working and I thought, well, what do? I like talking a lot. So I ended up becoming a television presenter, which is completely different to what I studied at university. But I became a television presenter abroad, and I did that for about 5 years. And at the same time, while I was doing that, I also started working in aviation, but it was mainly based around the systems that supported the aviation industry. And that kind of sparked my fascination into higher education. So I decided to then, after swearing to never go back to university, I went back to university about 5-6 years after that, and I started my master's degree. When I did my master's, I started kind of doing the whole research aspect, and I published a paper during my master's degree, and I thought, do you know what? This is really good. This is exciting. I like this. I want to do more. So I thought I actually want to be an academic. And it was only then that I found out what my calling was and what I wanted to do in terms of my career. And academia was where I wanted to go. So I did a funded opportunity within the university. And this was where they funded me to complete a PhD. Part-time, and at the same time they also provided me with the opportunity to teach and work at the university. So it was a really great opportunity for me. I completed my PhD, and at the same time I got to teach. And whilst I was doing that, it also kind of fueled my passion, let's say, for STEM, because when I was growing up, there wasn't really that many STEM ambassadors. There wasn't really any STEM role models for me to look up to as a female, as a minority. And I thought, I want to be that voice. I want to be, that voice for the generation that don't have it. So after I completed my PhD, I became a full-time lecturer at the university, and I'm now trying to kind of do as much STEM and outreach programs as I can to obviously young women, young girls, also Black and Asian minority groups as well. So it's something that I'm very passionate about. I don't know if I answered the question or not. Sorry, I tend to waffle on a bit.
This is all about sharing inspirational stories. So thank you. And I am now going to hand over to Karen.
Well, my story might be a little bit different because I had no idea what an engineer did, but I had a father who said to me that I had a very expensive shopping habit. So I needed to find a career that would support my bad shopping habits, and engineering was the way to do that. He was upset that I didn't become a civil engineer, but I became a computer engineer. I went to Boston University, and when I graduated, I went to work for a computer company building as a computer architect. And while I was there, they offered free courses to get your master's degree. And my father said, free, you go back free. So I got my master's degree part-time. And when I was done, he said, yeah, but now you can get a PhD. Go back, it's free. So I went back and I got my PhD. And at that time, I realized that I wanted to help, but there were not that many women. But I also knew that I wanted to be the kind of professor I wish I had had in a lot of my studies. So I joined Tufts University as the first and only woman in an electrical computer engineering department. And I went in all dressed up in pink in front of 90 men. They didn't know what to do with me. So, and they told me they hired me to be a role model for women, which was interesting because there were no women enrolled. But the second thing is they had assumptions that because I was female, that meant that I was automatically going to be an amazing teacher and nurturing. So thank goodness for them, they were right. That is me. But I just thought it was interesting, and I had never taught in my life. So since then, I stayed at the university. I was the first woman tenured in electrical computer engineering. I've moved all the way up to be dean of all the graduate programs. I love being involved with IEEE. I am the Women in Engineering magazine editor-in-chief. I sit on the IEEE Foundation, so I know all the great humanitarian projects. You see the MOVE project behind me. That's one of our great projects helping to do outreach to youth. And I run a program, I create a program called the Nerd Girls to help dispel the negative stereotypes that well-rounded women can be very smart and can pursue any career they want. And U.S. President Barack Obama gave me an award for that program, and I'm really honored that I got to go to the White House. But I also got to travel the world and make friends all around the world. And some of the projects I did in India, helping autistic young girls with my former WIE fellow co-chair of Ramalata Miramitu. We worked with autistic children, and the president of India, His Excellency Abdul Kalam, came to the United States to thank my team and I, and that was quite a deep honor. So I've got to work with presidents around the world, but my favorite task is working with students, and my research is now using artificial intelligence to solve humanitarian problems. So always looking to help young students, always helping to solve problems and understanding different cultures and communities. And I love meeting you all. So thank you so much for having me.
Oh my gosh, there's so much inspiration here, and I'm so excited. It's just going to keep getting better. So, Dashita, over to you.
Thank you. So from a young age, I was surrounded by a world full of upcoming technology, and watching my dad, a fellow computer scientist, I had a very early exposure to the versatile field that computing was. I was drawn by the AI robots that I would see my dad working on with his team, and then I'd see him create these games in Scratch. I was also drawn to the idea of creating innovative inventions which could go on and make a difference in people's lives. So my inspiration and role model is my dad, and has been since the beginning. And observing his work and dedication within the field of computer science has really inspired me to follow in his footsteps. And he's shown me the beauty of problem solving and the continuous trial and error process that coding is, and the patience and resilience it takes, whilst also showing me the endless opportunities for growth within this field. So looking ahead, I'm excited to further my education and research in computer science to make a positive influence on the world. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you so much. That is just so wonderful. And I think many people have felt true from the heart what you just said. So I would now like to ask Elisa to share her STEM story.
I've really been really having plenty in terms of developing new ideas or and remember this I think that someone could
Hi there, Elisa. Don't worry, we know what tech's like. Your sound is a little bit patchy at the moment. Can you just try again? Because what we might do is go on with another question and then come back to you. So don't worry, we're not going to leave you out. Yeah.
Okay, great. Can you
No, we've no sound from you at all. Just try one more time.
Okay. Yeah, I will try once again.
Okay, go for it.
Yes, great. Now you can hear me. Great. So, well, I just wanted to introduce a little bit about how I started with Girls in Quantum as well. So it was during the pandemic that I started thinking about different projects, and I had plenty of time, honestly. And I discovered this course called Introduction to Quantum Computing, and it was so interesting for me. I wanted to do something.
Okay. Elisa, we have lost your sound quite a bit. So if you can hear me, I'm just going to move on to the next question, but we will come back to you. I will not leave you out, okay? Just see if it just clears up. Okay. Right, everybody, and we will come back to Elisa because she's got a fantastic story to share as well. So I'm going to ask a question now to our panelists, and I would like to ask them, what do you see are the barriers to girls choosing a STEM course of study or profession? So I'm going to go straight away, first of all, to Karen for this one. What do you see as the barriers?
Well, I think we set high expectations for young people, and we say that they think they have to be the very best at math and science. And that's not true. They need to be persistent and enthusiastic. And then the second thing is failure. Failure is part of engineering. And we teach young people that, if you fail, don't bother, don't try again. So and the third piece is, I would say, lack of good role models, because people don't understand that it's your creativity and all those special things that make you that adds to the innovation. It's not just, I like math and science. It's, what are you doing? You're not doing math and science. And my final bit is that when people join a sports team, if you lose the game, you don't quit the sport. And unfortunately, engineering is like the opposite. Is, I tried it, don't like it, I'm out of here. And we need to understand that, no, you train harder, and every project is different. So, you will find your way.
Really good advice. Naomi, what do you think about barriers then to STEM?
I think sometimes it can also be cultural and family expectations as well. As someone from an ethnic minority, I think sometimes certain families expect you to go towards more feminine roles. They still have that sort of bias that, an engineer, a computer science, it's not much of a feminine role. They sometimes expect you to kind of follow the norms of your maybe culture or your tradition. And also, I think having the lack of representation as well. The more representation we have from strong females who are at the same time mothers, who are at the same time wives, and the fact that we do such an amazing job juggling both of these huge responsibilities can be great, to show women that yes, you can be successful in your career and you can also be successful in your personal life, whatever that life may be, whether you choose to be a wife, a mother. It doesn't really matter. You shouldn't let certain barriers stop you. So I think definitely the lack of representation is a big key, and also lack of opportunities as well. I think we need to provide, especially in deprived communities or even generations where higher education is probably not something that runs in their family. I think we need to provide more opportunities for higher education and the access to the resources and the funding.
Thank you so much, Naomi. And before we go around the panel, I'm just going to see if Elisa can now join us back. Hello, are you there?
Yeah, hopefully you can now hear me.
Sounds good at the moment. So do you want to share your STEM story a little bit? And also you can answer the question about barriers. Over to you.
For sure. No, once again, thank you. And well, I started during the pandemic with Girls in Quantum, honestly, discovering different courses. And I remember this called Introduction to Quantum Computing, the one that I joined. And I think that the 8 months that I had the opportunity to share with other students, to learn from each other, was so amazing for me that I wanted to create something in my community. And that's how I started Girls in Quantum. We did this on promoting quantum meditation among girls, especially. Everyone's welcome, by the way. But we have this focus on girls. And yeah, together we start building, for example, different mentorships together, organizing seminars as well, and interviews. And that's what drives us as students. We're all between 15 and 22 years old. There's no like an age range, but we are like in that range, and we really have fun together. We learn about quantum computing, quantum mechanics, and different areas that, you know, it may seem really difficult sometimes. I think that we try to make it more simpler for everyone to just understand it. So I'm really, really interested in learning more and telling more about it during this panel. And yeah, oh, well, I also have to respond about the barriers. So I think that one barrier that has especially been like a challenge for us, being the way that we can communicate with other people. I think that nowadays, for example, in my school, we have different opportunities to learn about science, about technology. However, we don't really have much English skills as other people. For example, let's say in the United States, of course, because we don't talk English as a first language. I think that has been one of our main challenges as well. The thing of challenging and learning more about English and kind of accessing to opportunities with the language barrier that nowadays we face, and many students as well. So we really try to address that as a student, and also try to share more with all other role models. I think that it's just great to see here more women talking with each other and empowering. And I think that's great, and we need to start showing more females to other women as well and other girls, so they can learn like, hey, actually more women are working, for example, let's say in engineering or in physics or any other areas that you can imagine. So yeah, I hope that I can answer those questions.
Well, thank you. And I'm so glad we've got a good connection back now. So then let's think about, how do we encourage and support girls to pursue STEM careers? Okay, so this is an interesting question. So I'm going to go to Deshita first of all, because you've already explained how your father was a wonderful role model to you and inspired you. So how else do you think about the other girls that are out there, how else could we inspire girls to actually take up a career in STEM?
So thank you. So just to start off with, I think there are like 3 main things that we should focus on, which is exposure to young girls from an early age so that they can get into the field and, you know, get used to it. Then retention, retaining the women in STEM, retaining them in the workforce, and also then creating opportunities. So expanding on these points. In terms of exposure, I think early exposure at a young age can be introduced by STEM activities and additional extracurricular clubs to create a hands-on experience to increase the girls' curiosity. And after schools clubs can be used to familiarize with STEM, and developing like toys for specifically aimed at girls can increase their curiosity and interest once again. And these toys can not only provide them with fun and engaging ways to learn, whilst also challenging the gender norms of society. And for the next point is providing female role models. So I think a few people mentioned that there hasn't been enough role models for them when they were trying to get into the field. So showcasing successful women in STEM, inviting them to events where they are able to share their experiences, stories about their highs and lows alongside their achievements. The importance of showcasing their struggles is to increase the resilience and understanding between our young girls. helping young girls to complete their visions and create like a clear career path for them. And with this, we can also go on to creating mentoring programs. I think taking the role models that we just talked about, if we do one-on-one sessions, we can help clear doubts whilst encouraging girls to connect and network so that they're able to excel in STEM, and educating the girls to navigate the challenges that they are faced with when pursuing a STEM career can better prepare them and give them more confidence within the field. And I think having inclusive curriculums within schools is a very big responsibility that schools should hold. They need to include and feature women that have contributed to STEM throughout the history, to reinforce, again, the inclusion of role models in every aspect. And I think one final is resource groups, specifically for women. So resource groups can provide means for girls and women to network with one another through formal activities, and then they are able to form connections and establish relationships with women alongside them, whether that be in uni, schools, or companies that they work at. So it can allow girls to collaborate with one another, and also hosting events like these and encouraging our girls and informing them about what is already out there so that they can take initiative and conduct themselves to create that world full of opportunities for them. Thank you.
Wow, that's going to be tough to follow, but I'm sure Karen will have to.
I knew it. She was going to pick on me. Well, the first thing I was going to say is, Dashita, when you go to graduate school, I'm listening to you, and I'm like, please come work in my group.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, I had a lot more, but I was like, I wanted to cover everything I could possibly. So just to inform my girls, everything is there, and I'm glad. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So I want to talk about, we talked a lot about encouraging women, young girls, and I want to talk more about the curriculum in schools. So I'll give an example. We don't have what I would call gender equitable experiments or projects or curriculum. And I'll give you an example. When I started teaching, they had some experiment where girls would have to smash concrete. And I'd say, I don't want to smash concrete, to look at things like this. And then, people don't understand what gender equitable means. So I'll give you another example. If we were to go into a boys and girls mixed gender classroom, and I were to say, today we're all going to design high heel shoes, I would have probably the young men be very upset. I'd probably get phone calls from parents because they'd say, my boys aren't interested in that. But if we change the paradigm to be, today we're all going to design sneakers. It's something all kids wear. It's something that all kids can respond to. So that's an example of becoming more gender equitable in our curriculum. I think the other piece that I talked about was, we talked a lot about role models. Now, when I was in school, all the famous role models were already long gone and dead. So, I was looking at history. And I think that it's important that we have people not just to look up to and read about, but actually get to meet and interact with. That's why, again, I love the IEEE, because when we have our IEEE honor ceremony where we give our awards and medals, I'm sitting down next to, the co-founder of iRobot, who's a woman. I'm sitting next to Millie Dresselhaus, who invented new materials. I'm sitting next to all these amazing women, and I get to talk to them, and they actually talk back. So, so it's not like going to Hollywood and Bollywood and trying to approach some movie star. They want to give back. They want to interact. So I think, utilizing IEEE to have our students engage, and we help you do that. So I think that's one way. The other thing is we have to teach young women how to celebrate themselves. When I interview somebody, and I'm going to follow up and interview everybody on this panel, they usually say, me, what do I have to know? Me, you want to interview me? I haven't done anything. Your stories, your personal experiences, I guarantee you, for every young lady that's out there, think your story will resonate because they think they are the only ones experiencing or feeling that lack of confidence or the issues that they've had. So sharing your experiences, not just the good and the accomplishments and all the awards, but sharing some of the pitfalls, not to scare them, but just to say, look, It's part of failure. Yes, I haven't gotten everything I expected. And your career is not a nice linear trajectory. You're going to zigzag along until you find your place. And when you do, boy, is that an amazing a feeling. And you are so empowered. And don't forget to give back to those that helped you.
Thank you so much, Karen. That was absolutely amazing. And I think your idea about the inclusive curriculum starts way back from primary school level. So from age 5 upwards, even for example, in the UK, we teach a lot of coding in primary schools, but it's about how the coding is presented and the examples that we use. Talk about storytelling using code and not just stick to those examples. So I think that's a really, really good piece of advice. But this panel is not about me, so I'm going to ask Naomi if she'd like to also give any hints about how you'd encourage and support girls.
Yes, I think just to further emphasize some of the points that the other panelists mentioned, we talk a lot about providing for girls, but I think one important thing that we often forget is to involve the parents and guardians in the process as well. So encourage them to support their daughters, encourage them to allow their daughters to explore, to kind of look at the different opportunities that STEM can provide for you. If we can remove the bias that the families may have surrounding STEM courses and surrounding females in STEM courses, that in turn will echo onto the future generations, the kids that are growing up in these families. Because if you don't have let's say certain barriers from your family saying no, you can't do that, it's not for girls, then the girls will be more inclined to kind of go towards those careers. And also as Karen very well mentioned, and also Keely, the early exposure is very important. For me personally, I did not meet my role models until I was in university, until I was doing my PhD, not even during kind of like my undergraduate. It was only when I did my master's, that's when I met my mentors, and I thought, wow, women like this exist. But if we had that exposure from an earlier age, then I think it will play far more of a crucial role in women and especially young daughters when they want to grow up, when they want to go towards those courses. Because even now there's still bias towards these courses, even now. And we're all guilty of it. If I say to you a nurse, you will automatically think of a female. You don't typically tend to think of a male, whereas male nurses exist. So again, it's a stereotype that happens to be in all the different kind of like opportunities and jobs out there. But I think definitely kind of like providing that additional support and education for families can help the daughters and the children.
Thank you so much, Naomi. Elisa, would you like to add to this one?
Well, I think that I've heard many great and powerful insights here. So I would really quickly add that another thing that for me it's really crucial as well. It's the term of collaboration and cross collaboration among girls as well. I think that for me, whenever I collaborate with other girls in Quantum as well and other students as well, I see each other share their insights, perspectives, but also from different backgrounds. For example, we have girls from Egypt, we have people from here, South America, so they can share with each other, like, hey, these are the current problems or the current issues here in my city or my community, how we can address these together. Saying that perhaps there are differences with each other, of course, but also this sort of feedback that they have, it's just so great, so they can learn and see like, okay, I can do also something in my community. I can perhaps address an issue that other people can have in their community here in my school. So I think that those are really powerful and key things that we can do as well, like foster collaboration among students, among girls, and see what they can do. I think that last time I was talking with a couple of students as well, that they were organizing a STEM program, and they were showing me like, hey, Lisa, we organized a program here. We started calling some people from a local sort of council, and they brought us like some computers, and together we organized a small hackathon in our school. So seeing that collaboration within the communities, within girls and between students that are really like sort of enthusiastic to create these initiatives, is just so key for me. So I would add that. So yeah, hopefully that could be also a good insight.
Thank you so much. And I think you've just touched on the fact that going out into communities is so, so important. Particular public engagement is really there, where you actually go out to marginalized communities, people who don't tend to have a voice, but we actually go out there. We've done that on a couple of programs and sat down with people and talked to girls and talked to a wide variety of different people to get their insights on what would make them attractive to a STEM career. And I think it's really interesting. It's almost like going out of the comfort zone of a university kind of academic bubble and getting out there. And I'd also just like to share, before I go to the last question, one thing as well. And Karen said it's about admitting like failures when things don't go right. So I've got massive imposter syndrome, okay? Every day I wonder, why am I doing this job? I work in computational intelligence. Am I good enough? Why am I doing this? And you know what it stems back from? I'm going to hold my hands up here, and I messed up my A-levels. If you're in the UK, you'll know what that's like. And in order to do that, I couldn't do a standard university course. I had to do 4 years. And it was really, really insightful because I ended up working in industry for a period of time. And all this shaped my journey. So my story here very quickly is sometimes you just don't go A to B in a straight line. You go all over the place, but your lived experiences contribute to who you are as a character. So without further ado, I will ask, I've got a couple of questions, more for the panelists. And the first one is about strategies. What strategies would you recommend for girls who want to pursue STEM? So think about what would you suggest that they actually do? Okay, and I'm going to go to Dishita first of all.
I think it's about girls being brave, being bold, and being ambitious. And I think we're in a comfortable space, and I think we need to speak up. And I think if the girls find out what they're passionate about, get exploring, and then once you know what you're passionate about, get technical, get into that field, and just learn as much as you can about the field that you're interested in and passionate in, and then immerse yourself within it. And then afterwards, network and meet like-minded people to open up that world of opportunities for yourself. And once you've seen and met many new people, you can share your own insights and grow from that. I think it's also really important. I think Karen mentioned very early on about how failures are a part of growth. I think making those failures and normalizing them, it's just something that happens. Not everything goes the way you want. And coding is like that as well. You make so many errors when you code, and sometimes it's the smallest and the simplest and the easiest of codes that go wrong. And just because you didn't put a bracket, just because you didn't put a semicolon, and you're thinking to yourself for days, what did I do? Maybe it's me. And I think often at times there have been that girls in STEM have, whenever you're coding, I noticed that sometimes girls feel a little bit timid and shy because when they write their code and something doesn't work out, they often feel that the problem is not within the code. Sometimes it's just them. And I think it's important for us to recognize that we all have a lot of potential and we are all very skilled. Again, I think we are all just sitting here. We've got so many examples and so many inspiring stories. And I think just being bold and being brave and putting yourself out there, even if it's to go wrong, even if anything were to happen, as long as you give it a chance and you take that initiative, I'm sure that you'll make the change. It all starts with you. Thank you.
Fantastic. I'm going to ask Elisa to come in there now with her strategy.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I think that what Dishita said, it's just amazing. I couldn't agree more. I also think that the way of embracing failure is one thing that we should also start saying to other people as well. Like, we all have made some time mistake, perhaps certain, I don't know, something, a problem. And if I ask, for example, Noemi, if I ask Karen, if I ask Dishita, we have all done something that perhaps we could have been something better. It could have been better, improved. So I think that the thing here is just saying to each other, hey, how can we address these issues together? How we can start working in groups as well, like addressing this issue, seeing how can I improve. I know, for example, if I look back 1 year ago when I started Girls in Quantum, I recall myself like having this first presentation, and it was to a school of children as well. And they asked me about quantum computing, and I was like, how can I address, or how can I teach quantum computing to young students? Saying something that is usually with quantum mechanics, quantum physics, how can I start teaching this in an easier way, right? So I think that throughout the years or throughout the months, I've learned, I discuss with other people to see their insights, to see what they have to say as well in the area. In that way, I learn and I share that with other people as well, with other people from my team. It's just embracing the failure, embracing those mistakes that makes me, I think, as Tishita said, a bold person. I think that takes time, a lot of time. But honestly, that's what the learning journey is about. Honestly, learning with each other, collaborating, and seeing how we can improve. So, yeah.
Thank you so much. And I just want to direct everybody to the great resources that Karen is putting into the chat. There's quite a lot in there. And I would add to this, before I go to Karen to answer this question, I would say that becoming a volunteer is one of the most rewarding things you can ever do in your life. So get involved, particularly, you know, if you're female, go into schools, go into your community, share your stories with them and tell them how great this field is. Karen.
Well, I always start out by asking people, you know, our parents approach me, they say, how do I get my daughter into STEM? And I say, well, what is she like? And they say math and science. And I think I touched on that before. And I say, no, that's not what I want to hear. I want to hear, what is she like? So if they say she likes dancing, she likes sculpting, she likes art, I then talk about the pathways to connect. You know, oh, well, if she likes sculpting, there's animation, there's computer graphics, there's you know, I talk about all the ways to use it for biomedical, helping to model human behavior so that you can make robots walk or be here more human. Some people say, well, my kid loves bugs and insects. And I said, well, there's something called, you know, mobile robots that we're looking at to go into human bodies to help do different types of procedures. So the applications of what you like are endless. And I think that that's why everybody is unique. And you can't just say, well, make them, you know, do robotics. Not everybody's going to love robotics. Not every project is going to resonate with young people the same way. So you have to find connecting the passion of what they like to do and show them how science and technology can help elevate and really benefit from their contribution. The other big thing I think is that folks do not realize, young people especially, you know, that are new or just joining or just taking a class, don't realize the impact that their contribution can make on society. And I'll give you a real world example. When New York City was hit on 9/11 here in the United States and communications were lost in New York City, I happened to be consulting for a communications company at the time. And I had one of my young students working with me, and they came down to us and they said, you've been working on a device that, you know, to help store fast communications. We need it. We're going to manufacture it right now. And we got nervous because like, we haven't tested it fully. Well, they deployed it, and within 24 hours, we had communications back to first responders. And when I turned to that young lady, you know, later on, and I said, did you ever think that, you know, something in your first internship with me would be so impactful to saving lives and things? She said, no, professor, I never thought anything in your class would be useful. So you never expect where it's going to come from, but the tools we teach you help you be much more dynamic. And again, make your own pathway. That's why read about other women using their artistic skills, their dance, their drama, whatever it is you're interested in, sports. Connect those passions to the science and engineering, and everything else will follow.
Wow. Okay. So, Naomi, what's your thought on a good strategy that you could recommend?
I mean, how do I even top any of that? Just to kind of follow on from what Karen said, I think actually showcasing real world problems of how STEM has actually been used to solve real world problems is an excellent kind of eye opener for young girls and their families. And I think having like field trips or visits where they visit organization laboratories, where they can visit science centers, they can actually see females, working there, and they don't just see that, it's just a myth, it doesn't exist. They can actually see women, just working alongside men, just normal, and also kind of have maybe some specialist workshops. Again, visibility in media, I think, is really, really important. If we keep promoting these positive portraits of successful women, then it'll hopefully we get to pass the message along to young girls and their families.
Thank you so much, Naomi. And I think what we've seen here is all of us are just being ourselves. And I think that's really, really important, to be yourself, go out there, share your stories, but also, as Karen said, do some really, really good ideas. How can I say this? We've seen robotics. We've seen how they can be used. We've looked at self-driving vehicles, which have a mixture of different STEM careers. There's so much opportunity out there. And for those people who may be not sure, there's all the social, ethical implications and legal implications of technology, which is another massive field. Right. So I will not talk anymore. And I'm going to go around our panelists and ask them to share quickly with us one top tip, just one, which is really hard for girls pursuing a career in STEM. Over to Lisa first.
Okay, so I would say quickly that find, experiment, be curious, and like go and find different activities that you are really passionate about. I think our passion could sound like bit cheesy or cliche, but I think that it's more about, okay, what I like and then what can I do as well to impact my community, my school. It doesn't need to be like I'm going to impact the whole world, but you can also do something meaningful for your community. So I think that could be my takeaway on this. Find a team perhaps and look for your interests. Don't be afraid of trying something new. I think that's something that I really appreciate throughout the years of learning science. So yeah, be curious and just experiment.
That is wonderful. Okay, Karen.
I'm going to tell you to write down your dream. And I mean, write it down and then say it out loud. And then I want you to find one small, doable, tangible action that you can take, even no matter how small, to help you move towards your goal. And write it down, because if you don't write it down, it's a wish. And we don't want wishes. We want to make your wishes and dreams reality.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Naomi.
I actually love that, because we always say that with my colleague as well. We always say manifest what you want, say it, believe it, and the universe will manifest it for you. And I think always challenge yourself. Do not be afraid of challenges. Do not be afraid of failures. There is no such thing as a failure. It's just another opportunity for you to learn. STEM is a field that is constantly evolving. It's always changing. So always try to learn, stay up to date, and just try your best. That's all I can say. And do not be afraid. Don't compare yourself to anyone else. Just go out there and believe in yourself.
Thank you so much. And on the last top tip, I'd like to hand back to Dishita.
Thank you. So again, I mentioned it earlier, but just be brave, and as the panelists have said, go out there, go for it, make the change, be the change, go for it. Even with the smallest steps, you can achieve your biggest goals. Eventually those steps build up and you get your goals. And also just embrace any failures that come along the way, and any failures that happen, just take it as it is and move on, and maybe learn from the mistakes you made and grow in every aspect. And there's, I don't think there'll ever be a time where you won't make a mistake, because there's always so much out there to learn and know about. So especially when I researched as well, I'd find that like I learn about one thing and then another thing and then another thing, and then it's just a loophole of just a lot of learning. So just keep going, be bold, and take initiative. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, then. Thank you so much. And we're going to take some questions now from the audience. There's one question that's coming in the side, and what I would like to do is ask one of our panelists to answer it. And the question is, what can individuals do to promote women's representation and leadership in STEM? So who would like to go with that one first?
Well, this is Karen. I already put a comment in the chat. I think one of the biggest things is that when women speak up sometimes, I don't want to say they don't hear us, but they'll repeat the question and somebody else will get credit for what the woman said. And I think it's important that when we're in groups that we recognize other women's contributions by commending them. We're so used to being in conversations where we're told that something, well, that's wrong, well, that's a wrong approach. But hey, that's a great idea. That was really innovative. And sometimes just those few bits of comments help bring awareness that somebody's really got some good leadership talents, and that helps others around them to promote them as well. So it's not just about promoting yourself, it's about recognizing the talents of those around you.
Well said. Would any of our other panelists like to come in on that question?
I think I think I mentioned earlier, just creating more events for us. So, just attending events and showcasing people's talents and everything they've achieved. So I think that'll be a good way to just having events where people are able to showcase themselves and their innovations and whatever learnings and their insights. That's all.
Thank you so much. Oh, sorry, there's quite a few questions popped in on the chat. This is an interesting one. Has any of the panelists thought of ways to engage young boys in promoting girls in engineering? That's an interesting one, isn't it? Anyone like to take that one?
Well, I did it. I actually did it. So that was part of the Nerd Girls program, because I saw how many young women were influenced. If the boys didn't think that they were cool or it was appealing, they wouldn't do it. So it's showing young men how talented women are and that how well-rounded they are is very attractive. So that was something that worked very well. And when I took young girls out to do outreach, my Nerd Girls out to do an outreach, one of the things that happened was we had a solar car vehicle, and all the boys would clamor around the car, and all the girls were flipping their hair back and standing, the student females were standing back and just looking from behind. And then finally, when the boys were like, oh my God, these Nerd Girls, they're so awesome, they're so smart, and they've got it all. The schoolgirls got so upset. They was like, get out of my way. I'm going to get in that car. They wanted to show the boys that I'm just as cool as they are. So that had a profound effect on the peers, to such that we get acceptance from their male peers.
Thank you so much, Karen. And I'm going to move on because questions are coming in now. Someone's actually said, how can I connect with WIE participants who may be interested in speaking in elementary or primary schools? To students, virtual or in person. And I would just like to say that IEEE, many areas, societies will be able, you can approach an IEEE society, you can approach IEEE Women in Engineering. There is also sections and regional areas that are more than happy to come and do some virtual talks. And you know what? We're international now, and that's wonderful. So time zones are not a barrier. Okay, it's quite normal for people in different countries as well to share experiences, and that is so rich. So what I'm going to do is just pass on this next question that's appeared, and it was about I have lost it here. I have lost the question. Don't worry, just give me 10 seconds. I have lost it. But there is a question that went back to Deshita earlier on in the chat, so I'm going to ask you this one. And how do you see women evolving in the role of AI? Do you see more women coming into this as a more attractive STEM career?
I mean, I think just computing in general is so versatile. I think it's a field for everyone. I think everybody is able to find something that they can do. And I think we are very creative and we have a lot of ideas. And I think putting those ideas to use would be amazing. And as for AI development, I think AI is such a good tool. And if we utilize AI in a good way, It's so versatile that it can help out in medicine. And I think it's already being used so that they are able to, just help out so they are able to help out within medicine. And, obviously there's ongoing things like cancer and other treatments that we look for readily just to, solve these issues. So I think AI can be a very good tool if we utilize it in the right way. And I think it's a versatile field for women to get into. And I think that everybody can find a field within computing or STEM to get into and use their skills to create something new. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm going to actually ask some broad. Sorry, my mic's gone off. Let's think about engineering a little bit more, and I'd like to bring in Elisa there. How do you think, specifically for your field, which is quantum, how do you think you could encourage more women to go into that area?
Yeah, for sure. So I think that quantum is such a great field right now. It's such a neat field as well right now. And just like Karen, versus honestly sharing the potential.
I'm really sorry, Elisa, we've lost you. I'm really sorry we've lost you. What we'll do, don't worry, we'll come back again. I'm going to ask Karen now about the engineering field. Don't worry, Elisa, we'll come back. Karen.
You just muted. Try again.
This is crazy. Lots of things on the screen flying around, okay? In terms of the discipline of engineering specifically, do you think there is something specific that we can do to attract girls into either mechanical, electrical engineering, etc.?
Yes, I think when I introduced myself, I talked about all the different departments that I'm a member of. You have to understand that while we've been conditioned to go into electrical engineering or computer engineering or biomedical engineering, the walls and boundaries between them are coming down very quickly. And that's why you might get a degree in one, but you will be working across others. I work in biomedical engineering. I know nothing about things, but I do AI for detecting cancer. I also work with mechanical engineering, and I do lots of things with robotics. I work with nutritionists. I lost 50 pounds working with nutritionists doing an AI program to help people eat better and learn about different nutrition. I work with elephant conservation. I work with veterinarians around the world. Using drone technology. If you think about all the different types of programs, don't let the engineering is your core tool, but it's going to affect every other field. And that's really where you're going to find the exciting things happening.
Thank you so much, Karen. And I'd like to bring Naomi in as well about your area of AI and ethics particularly. Do you think there's a kind of thing you can do to attract women into that particular area?
I think one thing that we need to note is that when we think of STEM, we always think, oh, it's going to be a lot of coding. You don't necessarily, not all STEM careers will be, there'll be coding in there. You don't necessarily have to be a coder to be a successful person in a STEM career. And I think it's important to kind of show those aspects and those opportunities as well, especially when it comes to ethics, especially when it comes to AI. It's a very new area that doesn't really have that many experts in it as yet, may I say. So I think maybe introducing them to that field, showing them that, there are ethical discussions to be had. What are even those ethical discussions? What are the social dimensions of it? And highlighting how it can actually contribute. And, there isn't, like the other panelists said, there isn't just one path that you have to take in a STEM career. It's so diverse. It's so vast. If you don't like computer, if you don't like coding, then you don't have to code. There's so much you can do as a STEM person. So I think that's also important to highlight as well.
Thank you so much. I want to go back to Elisa now if she wants to come in again.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can hear.
Yeah, hopefully you can hear now. So I think that in quantum, as I mentioned before, it's definitely field and emerging technology that has plenty of potential opportunities as well. I'm pretty excited about sharing with each other. So I can also invite you to look at our website as well, Girls in Quantum. But I think that in general, what we do to start bringing more girls into the field is just share potential opportunities. I was just looking at some news the other day about how quantum computing is now being combined, or could potentially have different sort of breakthroughs in medicine, with developing different pharmaceuticals in an easier and efficient way. So that's what brings me a lot of joy, a lot of excitement, honestly, for the future. I think that also it's been used in banks or in terms of cryptography and cybersecurity. So there are many, many different applications that you can go and research about. So I would totally encourage you to go and look for some other opportunities as well in the field of quantum computing. I just saw that Karen also mentioned a great opportunity right there for quantum. So there are plenty of opportunities, and what a better way now than explore and share with each other. So you can join Girls in Quantum, by the way. It's just an invitation, so you can learn more.
Well, thank you so much. Unfortunately, we have come to the end of this session. I cannot believe how fast it has gone. And I would like to really thank Naomi, Karen, Elisa, Deshita for their absolutely amazing contribution, okay, to this panel and sharing their stories. Because without people like you, you know, we cannot keep the voice going. So I would say be brave, everybody. Find something that's really passionate about you. You have an equal voice. You are there. Your voice is important. Go and do some public engagement for those people who might want to volunteer. Get involved in IEEE and all the wonderful activities. Yeah, and just connect. Be brave. Send emails to people and say, hi, can I talk to you? Can I have a voice? Thank you so much, everybody, for the panel.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. So glad to share with you.
Thank you.
It's been an honor. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody, and thanks for